how do you get your news out there? How do you pitch it? Well, you got to tell us about it. You can't assume that we know. Call, email. Email's always best. But also be mindful of our deadlines. In the news industry, both TV, newspapers, if you're trying to call us and pitch us a story at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you may get, us a little bit gruff because, that's our deadline time. Make sure your news story has some real value to it. The who, what, when, where, why, and how. You need to be able to answer those questions. Who, what, why, when, and how. Get the basics information down there. Let us do the writing. Let us do the communicating. That's what we're in business for. But get the basic type of information out there. Also, you need to be available and open. Call or email, like I said earlier, when there is some type of a trend story out there or some type of interesting thing that you're seeing. Here are some people, if you have ideas, you have a story, you have questions, here are the people that you want to contact. You want to, either me or John Hoke. John Hoke's the business editor. Here's our staff. And our email addresses are always the letter of our first name, our last name, @timesdispatch.com.
Our schedule is much different than, say, a website or a daily newspaper in that we are typically planning an issue 3 months in advance. Let us know about a trend in your industry and then be a source for a future story. If you're not involved in some type of contest, you're missing an opportunity. Also, I want to mention that we have an editorial calendar, and this is very typical of our type of magazine. We cover trends in areas like banking, law, technology, workforce development, insurance, but we aren't big enough to do that every month, so we have an editorial calendar. We have that posted on our website so you can see what kind of topics we have coming up.
What kinds of stories are we looking for? Well, typically it's not a profile, and it's not, one pitch I get all the time is, hey, even though there's a recession, here's a business doing really well. That just doesn't get me. It's just not that exciting to me, because there are a lot of businesses doing that. And anytime you want to send a pitch to somebody, I think that the question you should be asking yourself is, well, maybe change hats. Well, would I want to read this story? My one tip for you guys just to kind of start that relationship is maybe make that first email not about yourself, but about what you're seeing or hearing out there. More specifically, the kind of business news stories we're looking for, we try to cover commercial real estate really heavily. That's something that touches every business. Someone's coming or going, real simple. If you hear that, that's something we definitely want to know. If a real head of a pretty big company is coming or going, getting fired, getting hired, that's interesting.
There's one constant that I find between my old work in journalism and my new work in public relations, and that's the story itself. Just like a journalist, I try to find out what's different. We try to work with the clients to develop the story, help them find a story. If they don't have something that's very obvious, we try to go a little bit deeper and try to see what they're doing well, what they're doing differently. The relationships with the media and understanding what they're looking for what makes a good story, that's crucial. What you're going after as a business with a story with the media is a third-party endorsement. When I look at all of your ads, I expect you guys to tell me how great your companies are or how great the sale is. With PR, with a story in the newspaper, these folks are doing the job for you. And there's a credibility that comes with that. Be relevant. You probably have heard that before. If you're going to Facebook people or send out notices about your next big sale, or you want to talk about something that's going on, an event, you want to be relevant to those folks. Don't waste their time. Especially with reporters and media, you don't want to waste their time too. One last thing, community service. We've touched on this a little bit as a panel so far. This is very important because not only can you and your associates give back, you can leave a lasting impression with your customers as well. A good thing to think of is don't always go to them when you need something or when you want something. If you know something's coming up 3 months down the road, maybe put in a call and introduce yourself 3 months ahead of time. And the last thing I'll say is protect your brand and repair it. In everything you do, you're trying to keep your image. You don't want to have anything out there that is negative, like our friend Tiger. And if there is something that needs to be repaired or you have to talk to the media about it, try to be upfront, try to get ahead of it, and try to come clean.
It's really important to us to have diversity in the magazine. We're always looking for a really good mix. We're not going to write about all companies run by old white guys in 1 month. We got to mix that up. We need geographic diversity. We need type of business diversity. Independent companies. I do not want any subsidiaries. I don't like franchises in general, although I have written about them and I will look at them if the story is good, but I'm all about independently held companies. So I think that's most of you guys as well. Local coverage is important. One of the first things I look at is, have you been covered before? So you don't, these guys have already said that, you guys don't want to come straight to me. When you send me a pitch, if you say, and this actually works every single time, if you say in the first paragraph, hey, I read your story that you wrote last month on such and so I think that what I have would be a good fit for you, I'm going to read your entire press release. That's just the way it works. Sorry. So that would be the first thing I would say you have to do. It needs to be a personalized pitch via email. And don't send it to anybody else at my magazine, because when I go into the editorial meeting, I need to own that story. Don't send it to my competitors. If you want it to be in Inc., don't send it to, Fortune at the same time or Wired. It needs to be just exclusive at the national level. The last thing that I want to say is social media is really important. One of the first things I'm going to do if I'm interested in you is I'm going to look at your online footprint. So I'm going to want to see what you're doing on Twitter and what you're doing on Facebook, what your website looks like. So just know that we are out there looking at you online, when we're thinking about writing a story about you.